Hello, everyone. Welcome to the TreeTrunk. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Good afternoon to our East Coast listeners, and a big hello to just everyone around the world. So today we are also joined by our co-founder of TreeTrunk, fellow co-founder to myself, and one of our amazing OG artists, Ishita Banerjee, Soul Curry Art. Ishita, welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited to be here, part of the conversation. And yeah, let's get going. So excited. Good morning
Let's
and good
do it.
afternoon.
Good morning, Ishita. It's so nice to see you. You are one of one of the best things about NFT, working in NFT suddenly, which is not something I didn't like, start 8 years, 10 years ago going, hey, I'm going to be in the NFT business. But one of the best things about it is it's really lit me up to great work that I was not alive to before. And I didn't know your work before we started working together, and now I just love it. Like I'm getting really passionate about it. And I've actually been like,
He
you
truly
don't want
means
to,
that.
like say good things about one kid and not the other, right? But I've been pretty unabashed about saying that I love your work.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be part of Tree Trunk and also get to meet the other artists and discover their work as well. And I love how the borders have shrunk. Art has become so expansive, and everybody is just it's a very homogeneous mix of so many different styles, so many different people, so many different cultures coming into the NFT space, and how we just grow and support and love each other through art. And what could be a better way to just connect the world, actually. So
I couldn't agree more with that. So, Shita, would you mind telling us a little bit about Dancers in the Shadows? And I'll put the work up for everyone to see as well.
yeah, so Dances in the Shadows was about, well, I work in the modern abstract cubist style, which is, I've taken the cubist style of work, which was something that, it was early, it was the beginning of the 19th, the 20th century style. But I've kind of interpreted it in a more modern way. I've kind of made it my own, let's just say it like that. And I love exploring how our narratives fit into each other, because over the years in my practice I found that we are more alike than we are dissimilar. So our similarities is what we connect with, and our dissimilarities kind of evaporate when we see that. And it's about how we emerge from the darkness. And Dances in the Shadows was this play of extreme contrasts, where there is this very sharp yellow, which is like the light that is coming out, and it's a exact opposite to the purples and the deep blues, which are the more subtle colors. And it's an exploration of just emerging out. It's coming out, whether you're looking sideways, whether you're looking in the front. It's a play of composition, it's a play of color, and it's a play of how we fit into each other's narratives. I love working with lines, with faces, and because I feel like the face is the starting point of all our emotions. You can actually you register every kind of emotion when you look at somebody's face, from love, longing, loss, anger, disappointment. Everything is registered on the face first before it filters down to the rest of the body. And the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that's what I use a lot in my work. And this was a thing that I did when where I felt like we needed to shine more, come out of the shadows, and that's why it's Dances in the Shadows. We're dancing, but we're trying to emerge out of the shadows as well.
I love that. And one thing that I truly love about the work, I feel like, well, one, feel like I could look at it for hours. But what really gets me is that the more you look at it, the more you see. And I think that is just so amazing, just to have in your
Yeah,
work of art.
I love these layered nuances, because I feel like abstracts are so timeless. I mean, you see things that you perhaps didn't see based on where you are in your journey, based on the time of the day, based on the kind of day you had, or anything. I feel like something that is an abstract. Uh, blends well with time, and you see things based on where you are in your journey. Your own interpretation changes. I can look at an abstract today, the same abstract, and it could have a whole different meaning 10 years down the line. And that's what I like. And I like discovering these nuances, these layers, and playing with them is one of my favorite ways of expressing through art.
That's so great. And so I know you put up a second work of art as well on TreeTrunk. I just wanted to ask, since we are on testnet, what inspired you to put up a second work?
I
Yeah,
want
what was that about? I was like, wait, it's not real money yet, right?
No, but it is something that I felt like, when you chance upon an artist, you just don't want to be presented with just one piece. I wanted people to see that while there was this really colorful piece, there was also a piece that was very earthy, which was very visceral in its way of, in textural in the way it was presented. So I wanted to have that. I want to have people give people that little bit of a glimpse on what is there in an artist's portfolio. It's not just that, the opposite colors, but it's also colors that are derived from the earth, derived from the soil, derived from who I am, how we are expressing ourselves. Although my main exploration is always human emotion, human feelings of love, longing, and loss, but also how you express it changes based on where you are, how you're feeling, where you are in your own mind. And I wanted to present that for Tree Trunk as well. Even if you're on testnet, for me, this is putting my art out to the world, and I wanted to put my best foot forward, of course. So that was it. I just wanted to make sure that there was enough variety as well. And for me, it's whether it's a testnet or whether it's a mainnet, it doesn't matter, because I feel like people who are at the testnet will also get to discover and play and get the real experience, which is the most important part of it.
I
So
think this, for everyone listening, this is how you build community. Ishita, I think
exactly.
it shows in everything that you do, how relatable you are to your community, how much you want to support your community, and just give to them. And I think that's so amazing. And I'm really happy to just know you and be a part of it. Could you tell us a little bit about the second work as well?
Yeah, the second work is called Overtures. And the
Oh, this
second
is the
work,
one this is my favorite one.
I love this because it is very, very organic. It is derived. I was actually looking at how I feel grounded with the earth, and this has got terracotta. It has got these mustard tones. It has got these tones of burnt umbers and burnt oranges. But at the same time, it has these blues which are not sharp. So this is a complete contrast to the other one, where there's extreme high contrast, where there are these acidic colors. Here it's all, I've pared it down, I've grounded it down. And it is all about, again, fitting in. It is about looking inwards and outwards while staying grounded. I love using flowing lines, which is like, a marker in where I am, how my hand flows in when I'm drawing. So I love these organic lines and these visceral textures that I love working with. And I love layering these textures because it creates these contrasts in ways that you didn't think were possible. It creates these it looks weathered, let's just say. It looks weathered, and that's what I want. We are weathered with time. We are weathered with our experiences. We are weathered through what we're going through in our life journeys, and I wanted that to come across. And I've just worked with really three colors. It's just red, yellow, and blues, which I love using a lot, but I've really made it more earthy and more subtle in this case. And yeah, so that's the piece, and that's about how we are part of each other's journeys in where we are.
Awesome. And we were just talking about community before, but I know you have such a supportive and active community. What kind of work goes into maintaining that, or how do you maintain that? Because I see you everywhere, on Discord, on Twitter, on Instagram. I am just in awe, but you do such a great job of really speaking to all of the people who are your benefactors, and just people who want to support you, people who love your art. And I was just wondering if you could talk
Actually, I've
about
been
that.
doing this. It's funny. I never thought of it as a community until I actually got into the Web3 space. Right? We actually gave it a name, But for me, it was just about who I am and how I wanted to present myself. I wanted people to get a glimpse, not just of the art, but of the person and the thought process behind it. I love reading, I love traveling, I love music, and like, showing people what my studio looks like or what I'm working on. Whether I don't want it to be, it's not about, having a perfect feed or what it is, but I want to take people on that journey with me. I want them to feel like, they're getting a glimpse of what I'm thinking about, where I am, where the rock textures come from, which, how the wind feels, what kind of coffee that I like, or, just it's a blend of who I am, and an extension of myself is the art, and I want that to blend together. So on my Instagram, I show a lot of behind the scenes. I talk about my studio. I talk about the inspiration. On Twitter, we are talking about a lot of things that are NFT related, but also I like giving a glimpse of, it's always 80-20. Most of the time, I'm talking about art, which I'm extremely passionate about. I talk about what it is like to be a one-of-one artist, and how my life experiences have brought me and shaped me the way that I am. And I've never really tried to do something which was completely out of the ordinary. It is something, I'm just a regular girl trying to bring art to the world, and I love it, and I love how people connect with it. Because when somebody connects with your art, that's the greatest feeling on this planet. And I understand that art is subjective, and it's not perhaps everybody's cup of tea, and there are different styles. But I love opening my mind, and the NFT space and art has definitely opened minds, opened borders, opened horizons, and it has brought amazing people in my life, from collectors to friends to other artists to supporters to just people who say that, hey, I love the colors that you're using, and I love talking to them. I love engaging with them. I've been talking to a girl in Mexico. She's 10 years old, and she found,
Wow.
she connected with my work, and she wanted to do a project, and she asked me if she could do an interview with me. And I'm like, this is it. This is the
Oh,
future. And if I cannot inspire a 10-year-old, I mean, I want to inspire every 10-year-old. I want to inspire 90-year-olds. And if art can do that in a small way, and if I can do that, if I can be a part of it in a small way, I'm going to go all out and do that.
Yeah,
So
it's funny. I was saying to somebody not too long ago that um, why does the interest in sports persist? I'm not really into sports, and so I was saying why is it? In my house, when I was growing up, we didn't watch sports. My dad and I, we did other things. But a lot of folks, or a lot of my peers, right? That's what they did with their dad. They sat in front of a TV and watched sports, and so they love their team, whether the basketball game or the football game, whatever. And to me, I've always been like, well, why do I want to sit here and watch this, especially something that just goes back and forth like this. And I think my theory is that it's how we connect, right? It's especially maybe men in particular, a lot of men, we don't want to sit there and have a cup of wine and talk about our feelings to each other, right? So we have to have some medium through which we're going to say words at each other, right? We need to say, oh yeah, he just fumbled that, right? And then we get to talk to each other about the fumble. And I wonder if art isn't writ large even more of an expansive version of that. It is the medium through which we have a conversation.
absolutely, 100% agree with that. It's the medium of connection, it's the medium of communication and community now, and we have common ground through that. It's like, okay, you love that particular team, you love this particular style, so we come under that umbrella of a collective who loves something similar, and we have that common ground, and this language evolves from there. The support evolves from there, and I love that. It's exactly what you said, John. Whether it's sport, whether it's art, there is this intense connection that comes from it.
Fishing was our thing, right?
Yeah,
We'd sit in a boat for 10
wow.
hours, either casting a line or throwing up, one of the two things, right? And we get to talk about that.
So what kind of fishing was it? Fly fishing, regular fishing?
I more do the fly fishing because I don't have a big boat. But my dad, we grew up in Michigan, and yeah, he always had a boat on Lake Michigan. So
Wow, that's amazing.
Michigan,
Wow.
the 22nd century's Riviera after all the coastlines flood. The only large body of water that won't drown you.
That-
So, Shita, you were mentioning community before, and I was just wondering, what advice would you give to both new artists, but also artists who've been around for a while that they're just starting to build their community, and like you said, they might not even realize that they're building the community. But what advice would you give to them starting out in the space?
I would say that, cater to every community the way that you've already been doing. But if you're on Instagram and people are not in the NFT space, continue talking to them the way you already have. And people will get curious and want to come over and learn about NFTs, which has happened in my case. If you're on Twitter and you're talking about NFTs, cater to the Twitter audience the way you are doing. Just make sure that you whatever you're doing, do it consistently. Your consistency, your regularity could be just once a day, it could be once a week, but whatever you're doing, do it consistently so that there is people start looking forward to it. So if I don't post in 3 days, people will send me a tweet and say, hey, are you all right? Something's going on with you, we haven't heard from you. So you want that, you want that anticipation, you want that excitement, but also stay true to who you are. Support others. Supporting others is something that I can't stress enough, because the more you support others, it's like if you give back 80%, you get back 100%. It's just remarkable in how that works. And I also host a lot of Twitter spaces. I host a lot of conversations, handhold people who are just trying to figure it out. Because I was one of them a year ago. I was exactly there. I was a traditional artist coming from the contemporary art space into the NFT space. I had a lot of questions, and I didn't have too many people that I felt comfortable with. So asking a question too. So if when you see representation, when you see diversity, when you see women in this space, when you see LGBTQ people represented in this space, it really matters, because people feel like they will want to come and ask you a question. There's this comfort level that you establish with people. And I just love that. I love helping people and answering the questions. I don't mind doing that over and over again, many days in a row if I need to, because I've been there. I know what it feels like. And I also know, when you come in, how rewarding it is, what this community does, how supported you feel. And I'm there. And I just want people to know that, whatever you're doing, be authentic in your voice, find your art style, and stay true to it, and do it consistently, because it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But once it does, you'll realize, you look down and you say, oh, hey, I've come so far, and I've got so many people who love and support me every single day.
Of course. Go
So
ahead, Josh.
I'm curious, Ishita, you've been working on the TreeTrunk platform for since the beginning. Now we're just today, in fact, an hour ago, we were designing the new creator tools interfaces. So one of the things we have our nightly Twitter show, which or Twitter Spaces show, which is great, featuring new artists and entrepreneurs and activists, with Will Gaines, uh, living with Will. I feel like that, but the so on this show, we really want to focus on what's coming on the platform, what are the developments, what are the upcoming drops. I think we're announcing that we are going to be at NFT NYC. Hoping that we'll be featuring you there, and we got
Ishita
some
will be
really great
there.
artists.
I
Yeah,
will
yeah,
be there. I'll be in New York. I'm so excited.
it's really cool. Where can people catch you? Are you going to be at any particular venues other than?
Right now, no. I'm just still working that out, but I'm going to be there all throughout. I'll attend the conference. I'm just going to network and meet friends. I mean, this is going to be my first big IRL event. So I'm very, very excited to meet everyone,
Well, that's
especially
great.
at TreeTrunk.
So let's talk about the features that we're bringing up. One of I think that doing things regularly, this is a good way for um, the development team and I to stay in tune with and keep focused on who we serve, right? So Shireen, I'm really excited about getting influencers on and other collectors and artists, and I want to have a conversation about what we need to be building, what works, what doesn't work. And I know we've been working on the creator tools. So one of the things that I'd like to ask you is what are the features in that tree shaping process that you'd like? And I'm going to ask, my first question here is, what do you think your strategy is going to be going forward on how the tree is shaped? I mean, you're going to do, we've now implemented 4 generations, which is a maximum of about 11,000 or a little over 11,000 prints possible. So do you max it out and say 10 first generations, and then each of those 10 can make 10, and each of those can make 10, and each of those can make 10, or and maximize the royalty stream idea? Or do you make it more limited, or what's your strategy?
That's very interesting, because in the beginning, when I thought about it, I thought maybe I should just, go the first route, just, make it 10 gen, and then they can go on to make 10 more, and just maximize it. But I also wanted to have a more I would want to have a mix, let's just say. I would want to have some which is more exclusive, in which people could I want them to maximize, of course. I want them to get the maximum royalties that they can and continue to benefit from it. But I also want people that got in early to be able to say that, they got an exclusive, they got something that not too many people in the world have, not 11,000 of them exist. But at the same time, I would love to have these 11,000 of them around, because at the end of the day, it's about how many people really have accessibility to an art that they really like. I want that to be there as well. I
Yeah.
don't want to be an artist that is just in a particular, in a few wallets. I want to be prolific in how I create, and also how people collect and connect, because you never know where these connections happen. And I want that to be there as well. So I think I'm going to go for a more healthy mix of both. I'm going to find the middle ground of having some which are exclusive and some which are really, really accessible, because I love it. I love to have a lot of people collect my work and benefit from it. And TreeTrunk gives me that advantage. I've never felt this excitement, especially in the NFT space, where we talk about scarcity, where we talk about exclusivity. Here, I want it to be accessible, and I want it to be approachable, and I want people to be able to monetize from it as well, and get royalties, maximum royalties from it.
Yeah, I like the math on the TreeTrunk approach, because you get exclusive, you get scarcity, rarity, because there's only maximum of 10 first gens, right?
Yeah.
By definition, they're scarce, and they're valuable because they're the ones that are collecting revenues
Mm-hmm.
from all the prints below them, right? So they have the maximum ability to generate royalties. And if you're Beyonce and you've got number 2, you probably your royalty streams are going to be better than who, if I own number 1, I'm probably not going to do quite as well as Beyonce, but you're going to do great, because Beyonce is feeding up to you, right? So that I like that idea. I think if I were to do it, I would probably max everything, because as you say, I want the rarity to be about where I sit on the tree, and then I want inclusivity, which is why my favorite generation in the prints is the 4th generation, because that's 10,000 prints that can't make any royalties. Those folks are there because they love the work, they want, and I think the more that's the case, the more would you agree that
I
it
do.
reduces the piracy question, right? I mean, why
Absolutely.
would I right click or whatever, and or try to create another NFT based on your work, and not just right clicking, but going somewhere else and saying, oh yes, don't you love my piece, right? Why do that when I can build my own franchise off of your work and not have to be a liar?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, and you also get, whoever does that can also be part of the community. See, it's like you're part of the community. You're getting the benefits of being, in so-called, the community that we're trying to build. The accessibility, there could be future drops, there could be many things that can come from it, and the utility that we're talking about, and how each artist will be catering to their own community with the utilities that they bring in. So I think this is a win-win situation for every single person, and I'm hoping that more people embrace it and really find their path through this.
Right on. So let's another question then. So that's an interesting approach. I'm going to be interested to see, like, do people make different trees, different originals with different characteristics, or there will be a point, not too long from now, probably not GA, not NFT NYC, but shortly after, where you can make different parts of the tree, visually different, right? So you can have
Ah,
the golden ticket in there. The question is, how do you do that without, allowing for potential debasement of the art, right? So you don't want somebody to like deface the work in making it different. There's lots of things we can do, right? But I don't think, we want to be careful about making it so that you can't have some print holder do something that would debase the
easy.
entire line by, or putting a hateful thing on it or something like that. You wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the first step would be artist tools, where you can say, well, the print number 10 will have something different about it, right? And that would be inherited all the way down its line, right? So
I
you
mean,
could,
that would be a very, very cool thing. And then, it's like, you have these numbered editions, and number 5 could be, have these Easter eggs in it, which would then unlock other things for the collectors who've collected it. And yeah, that could be a very, very cool. I'd be very excited to use that too.
cool. The other question I've got for you is royalties.
Mm-hmm.
So the beta test, the royalties were fairly simple, right? You set your 10%, and then the first generation prints can set that anything above 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the risk is that somebody stupidly puts it like 100%, and there's no reason to sell anything below that, because all of your revenue would be going to that print holder. But what are some other ways you'd want to construct royalties, or do you want, and set limits on? One of the things that the most obvious one is, do you want to be able to say, I get 10% as the artist off the top of every sale, regardless of what
Mm-hmm.
generations it's in? Is that the way you
Yeah,
want it?
that would be something that I'm definitely looking at. But if yeah, or we could do something with bundle royalties also. Like if somebody buys, let's say from like if they've bought something from, say, 5 of my pieces, if supposing somebody's bought 4 Gen 4s from 5 of my pieces that are out there,
Hmm.
then maybe they could collect an extra 5% or something like that. If that is something that could be building, I mean, that
That
would
would not be
encourage.
easy to build. That's an interesting thought.
That could be something
Uh,
that incentivizes people to collect more, and a particular generation, then that could be, if everybody gets Gen 4, for example, somebody gets 10 of them, and then that could be an interesting way of gamifying things and making it fun for people as well, where they get a little bit more royalty if they collect five of these pieces. I don't know how we're going to build that in, but yeah, that could be something for sure.
Okay, so changing the royalty value based on some kind of logic. That's all right. We'll have that tomorrow. I'll just call Terrence and
Just the
okay.
top of my head, I really haven't thought it through, but I'm just thinking how cool it would be.
I'm,
Because,
I'm
because
waiting for Terrence to burst through my door and
because
clubber me.
most of the people who collect my work don't just collect one. So I have people who've collected multiple pieces, some more than 30, 40 of my pieces. So I would want them to be the elite collectors and get something from it. And I want them to keep coming back to get more and more every time there is something, when I drop something on TreeTrunk. So I'm just trying to think of what I could do to encourage that as well, because it's not really about how much royalty I'm getting. It's all about how the chain is going to function as well. Not just, it's not just about the artist getting it, but the royalties going back to the collectors in the chain, and how the chain is going to flourish and function.
Right. I mean, that's the key, right?
That's the key, right?
Everybody's got skin in the game. The
Yes.
theory, I hope we're right. I mean, this is the gamble. Although, I'm not much of a gambler, but I'm willing to bet on this, that having your followers and your supporters and your influencers having skin in the game is going to change the market dynamics for the work. I have to think that's true, right?
I absolutely 100% agree with it.
Yeah, I cannot wait till we hit launch mainnet. I feel like we've been talking about it like, is it going to be as big as OpenSea on day one? No, of course not. But if it shows basically fusion like energy, right, where we put $1 in and we get $1.10 out, that then then the flywheel is started, and it'll accelerate from there. Last question is on the creator tools. What do you think about, Serena? This should be a segment on every show, right? Just going through like things that we think we'd like to build, and what do people think about it? We should get a stinger for that, Yeah. What is the when it comes to a print holder being able to sell for different amounts? Do you want to have to sit, like, do you want to require a certain range, like a maximum and a minimum for a particular print or a particular generation? And I ask this kind of carefully because it would not be an easy thing for us to implement, but it's on my mind. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, we have a lot of talk about floor price and how the chain could also, the basically the tree structure could also affect the price of what people are coming in. You want to also encourage people to get in earlier in the chain rather than later, right? So I would want to I think having a range is a great idea, where you don't want people to start selling it for cents instead of dollars, let's just say, so that you continue a healthy, robust system. But you offer people a range where, if you think that you would want to stay within a certain range, that is great. But if you want to go up, that's also possible. That's a great idea, actually, staying within a range, but not going below a certain amount. I mean, it's all about price is all about perception. The price of an artwork is always what somebody's willing to pay, not what somebody has priced it. So it'll be very interesting to see how those dynamics work. And that's what I love about the tree trunk structure. It's like you're encouraging people to sell it forward. You're encouraging people to make prints of it and sell it forward, as a chain, and it's not about what the artist sets the price for. It's about how the chain moves forward, because everyone in the chain keeps benefiting from it, and you want that chain reaction to flourish. So having a range perhaps could be a very, very good idea. I would not want to go below a certain price, at least, not below 10% or 20% of what the original price was, perhaps, or I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking from the top of my head. But yeah, that's a great idea, having a range.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ishita. And I just real quick, John, I know you mentioned Will, and I just want to give Will a shout out. So everyone, Will is not feeling well today, so please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And we hope we will have him on the show again next week as our wonderful host. And so now just want to shift gears a little bit, but we have with us, please welcome the blockchain Swiss Army knife himself, Dr. Andreas Freund, also our co-founder for TreeTrunk. We are super excited to have you on the show, Andreas.
Super excited to be here.
It's good to see you.
Hi, Andreas. Wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ishita.
And so can you tell us?
Go ahead, Serena.
I was just going to ask, Andreas, could you tell us a little bit about your background and your path to TreeTrunk?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm actually of the wrong generation for all of this, just like John is. We're all Gen X, which is like terrible, absolutely terrible. We should not have any say about anything because it's like we screwed everything up.
No, that was the boomers. We're golden.
We continued to screw everything up. So it's like I started off way on the other side of the Rubicon, so to speak. I was in academia, did particle physics, ran my own research lab, then switched over to consulting, drifted more and more into technology, and then came to blockchain in late 2014 when I was working for Tata Consultancy Services. Shout out for an organization where you can pretty much do anything and put your feet up if you want to, not have to worry about it. So it reminds me very much of the old GDR, is like where he's like, it's like, as long as you keep your head down, you have a job. So but it allowed me to get into blockchain. Was early there, relatively early, sort of like second gen, basically, second and a half gen, and founded the TCS global blockchain practice. Was one of the co-founders. Was the head of technology there. Then I joined Consensus in early 2018, and did various things. It started off primarily with an enterprise focus, but drifted then into entertainment, music, and arts, with working with various enterprise clients. Primarily, but then created the first sort of like usable NFT, with capture for fan engagement. So that was fun. We were the first ones where you could share NFTs via social media with your fans. So that was actually cool. We did several activations. Then COVID hit, and if you're focused on sports teams and live events. So yes, so then I struck out, and got involved in Baseline, and that's where John and I started to collaborate intensely around as like multi-party coordination under Zero Knowledge, primary author of the Baseline protocol spec there. And then John was like, it's like going on and on about what can we do with like Zero Knowledge pros, and is there an NFTs, and they are really stupid, but how can we make them less stupid or suck less? So and it's like, can we do like this? And I said, yes, we can. And he said, really? Yeah. And then so we did that last year, and then he was like, and can we do royalties that don't suck? And he's like, I was like, yeah, we can. And
that's, by the way, in Silicon Valley, in the time when I was there, that was your primary business plan pitch, was make X suck less. That was the easiest way of getting across what you were trying to build as a business. Is like, and we're going to make invoices suck less. We're going to make getting a ride home from the airport suck less. Right?
Typical Gen X approach. I must say, it's like, I was like, yeah, I know, I'm a Gen Xer. I was like, and I feel bad about that I'm still taking up oxygen here.
Say, Andreas, with Ishita here, I wonder if you could talk to us about the what you're working on right now, which is quite exciting, the embed code idea. I'd love to get Ishita's reaction to it.
Oh yeah, so part of the make NFTs suck less approach is
not that they suck. I mean, they don't completely suck. Otherwise, we wouldn't be working on it. But everything has some suckage, and our job as humans is to make.
I think the goal here is longevity.
We're issuing billions of invoices every day, and they suck. Right? It's like everybody does invoice processing poorly, but we're still using them, a billion times a day, right? And it works somehow or not, right? So it's basically the same thing. So it's everybody is working on making things better and making them suck less. So the one of the key things that you might have noticed is that if you want to buy an NFT, you go to where?
You gotta go to marketplace.
A marketplace, right? Yeah. So marketplaces are basically, they're centralized, and they kind of tether the NFT to it, because you can only sell it there. Mm-hmm. So what if
you could sell it elsewhere, but then
you can sell it elsewhere, but then you kind of like, it's like, unless you know how to write Java, JavaScript and with Ether.js or Web3.js and integrate with MetaMask and stuff like that, kind of hard, right? So can we turn an NFT into its own dApp, right? Fully decentralize it, right? So can we make it such that you can post it anywhere on social media or embed it into any web page? So can you create your own anywhere, anytime gallery with and collect all
your
the
favorite
NFTs
prints,
for your favorite prints or what have you not, and
kind of like embedding a YouTube video, but without having to call YouTube.
Without
I love
having
that
to
I
call
can
YouTube.
already see Ishita's face changing.
Whoa.
So basically what it does, it's like you every NFT will have, every TreeTrunk NFT will have its own website, right? But we're also building functionality into that you can check whether it's actually for sale, and then
the
see the
website
price.
is on decentralized infrastructure, right? So it's on IPNS.
It's not hosted by us at all.
Right.
It's on IPFS, so it's decentralized. So it's its own dApp, right? So and you can check if you can connect your MetaMask to it. You can check whether it's for sale, and if it's for sale, you can buy it directly off of its webpage.
That's incredible.
And then you can also have its own embed code, so you can send it over to your buddy to put it in, and then sell that. Yeah, I just completed
somebody else's marketplace could, or curated marketplace could embed a bunch of their favorite prints and sell them as a, so anybody could just make a marketplace out of a bunch of embed codes. Right.
And that is all because of EIP 4910, right? Because the key thing about EIP 4910 is that the smart contract actually becomes an actor, becomes an active participant in the management of NFT. It is actually doing active stuff around it. So you need to list an NFT in order to sell it, because if you cannot list it and the smart contract is not aware that an NFT is listed, guess what? It can't collect royalties, right? So it's kind of important that the smart contract is aware what is happening to it and the NFTs that it houses, right? So you can think of a smart contract as like a guardian of, it's like of housing what do you call it, like fleas, right? It's like hoarding cats, right? It is basically managing its herd of cats. In order to do that, it needs to know what's going on with each of the cats. So right now, with the current standards, whether it's like ERC 721 or 1155, you can't do that. The smart contract is basically an almost innocent bystander, right, to commercial transactions. And now with EIP 4910, the smart contract becomes the actor in the commercial transactions, and because of that,
like a mini DAO.
It can now manage all the royalty transactions. The downside is it becomes
like
really
a mini
big.
DAO, but the votes are where are you on the tree and what that does for the royalties. So you're basically kind of voting with your position on the tree to move royalties upstream to the artist.
Right.
This is going to be a game changer. This is going to be a game changer because this is going to open up, so many things. Collectors would be able to, aggregate their work in one place and be able to, this is going to be a game changer. Really, and decentralized at the same time.
Right.
So
because you don't really need OpenSea.
Yeah,
you don't need Rarible.
Hey, we kid OpenSea. That we love OpenSea.
No, but actually, we're here.
They're good guys.
Right? So since I'm a good consultant,
it would be great,
right?
If all of the platforms adopted the standard.
Yeah,
that's what
we want.
Hey, by the way, I was just talking with our friends over at Palm. They're killing it, and I won't speak for them about what but I think the TreeTrunk or the 4910 model seems like an obvious play for things like Palm as well. So yeah, I mean, you can implement it anywhere. In fact, I mean, you can implement it on Solana as long, but you'd have to port the code over. But
well, you just write it, right? It's a spec, right? So you can write it in any language that you want.
Could you talk a little more?
Smart contract.
And again, I'm curious what Ashita's thoughts are on this about portability. I mean, it seems like right now it's a big deal if you're listing on an OpenSea or on LooksRare or what have you to be able to list it elsewhere as well, right? So you don't want to like get jacked into a single marketplace. Now, there are some nuances to that with the 4910, right? Especially the way we've implemented it, because, for example, can you talk about how it's keyed to the chain that you minted it on, so that so that shenanigans can't happen? But could you then easily, if somebody else was supporting the standard, sell it on a different chain?
So the same one on a different chain.
Yeah. So I own
no.
Ishita's print number 5 of
Right.
Of her current work.
Yeah, so you're actually bringing up a very, very, very important point that is an issue for the entire ecosystem, for all blockchains, right? Actually, there are two problems. Number one, I don't know, you probably have heard of the Ronin chain hack, and if you know whether someone stole $650 million, right? It's like, that's problem number one, right? So if you bridge assets across two chains, that is a problem, right? Because more likely than not, the bridge you're using is going to be hacked.
Yeah, bridge tech is 2022 is the year of bridge tech for sure.
Is the year of bridge tech, and the challenges with that, because right now you can only basically move coins, literally coins, over, right? But if you have an asset, a digital asset that's actually a little bit more complex, such as an NFT that has a royalty stream attached to it, or a bond, right? In fact, 95% of all financial assets carry with it a revenue stream, whether it's equities that are paying dividends and stuff like that. So none of the bridges can manage that. None of the L2s, the layer 2 solutions, can manage that. So right now, all the hype is basically about like 5% of the overall asset market, right? So it's like now imagine if we can go and actually open up the full 100%. So we're going from maybe $1 trillion to 10 trillion. That's a big deal. So in fact, there's within the EEA and Oasis community projects, there's a project that is focused on layer 2s, because layer 2s have the same problem as the bridges, to address exactly that problem: digital assets with
and layer 2 is like Polygon or sort of a layer 2.
Immutable X.
Chain, yeah.
Immutable X for NFTs,
X,
Arbitrum for for your favorite Uniswap curve. It's like you pick it.
Aztec,
Aztec. It's like exactly. So the real problem is that if we can crack that piece, and there is an approach that is currently being tested out within the EA, the Ethereum, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. That would be a game changer for the entire ecosystem, because then you can actually port your NFT with royalties and trade it on an Arbitrum or on an Immutable X, or you could, semi-safely at least move your NFT from Polygon to Solana, or the other way around, even though going from chain to chain not recommended for some fundamental things. But
right
now, generally speaking, it's like it's you need to, if one of the chains gets successfully attacked, your entire money is gone.
The way I feel about it, though, Ishita, what are your thoughts? the fact that it lives on a particular chain, like Polygon, for example, or on Palm, or on the mainnet, or what have you, that's the record of your rights. That your management record is sitting there. Does it really matter if you can move that to a different chain or not? As long as you're able to monetize wherever you want to go.
I think it doesn't matter to me whether I want to move it or not. If I can manage in one place, if I can see what whatever the rights, the authorization, the token ID is at one place, and get revenues, the royalties in one place, that works for me.
As long as you trust that particular chain.
As long as I trust that chain, yes, of course.
Yeah,
that's exactly right for you. That's exactly the way. The reason why bridges exist is purely for arbitrage trading. Purely for
Andreas,
arbitrage.
In the 4910, or certainly in our implementation of it, we've jacked in the actual the 4910 tokens much more fundamentally to the chain, right? We've coded it to the chain so that you can't, and that's in so say more about that.
Well, we have, you need to provide the chain identifier in your payment transaction, right? And you need to register your payment, right? So one of the key things is that we're supporting two transaction types. One is a direct sale between you and I from anywhere, or if you want to trade it on a marketplace, on an exchange. But basically, the difference is that when you're direct sale, you're registering your payment, and then you transfer it and you distribute the royalties.
And it's all done inside the smart contract.
It's inside one function, versus if you on a marketplace where you need to execute multiple transaction, you need to say, okay, I received it. I got paid, right? Now I need to transfer that's a separate function, right? Now I need to transfer the NFT, and I need to pay out the royalties, right? So it's there's slight nuances, but in the end, you're interacting with the primary quote unquote owner of the NFT is actually the contract. So that's really that's really
not the marketplace owner, or not the
marketplace or anything like that. It's the smart contract, and you're approved. You're the delegate of the smart contract that can do all the things that
which is why it looks even more like a DAO.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And Ishita,
so
I know
every piece of your art, Ishita, is basically a DAO.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked a lot about the technical side of things. Ishita, I'd love to hear kind of like what your initial thoughts are on that. And also if you have any questions as well.
I'm really excited with, well, it's a lot of technical information, yes, for sure. But I am very excited because I feel like you're building what we've been, we've seen whatever, we've seen the hiccups of this, whatever was there for, being in one marketplace, not being able to really take things out to another one, and the royalties being affected. The fact that you're putting royalties on chain, the fact that we have this whole tree structure going, and now that you're bringing in the new EIP, IP, it's EIP, right?
EIP.
Yeah, EIP is until it goes through a process. EIP is an Ethereum improvement proposal.
Yeah, it's 4910. I think this is the way to go, and this is what you're building the future one step at a time. And I'm very, very excited with how what it sounds like, because I think you're actually addressing a lot of pain points that we had, in at least what we've been experiencing in the past 1 year. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. I need to delve in a little deeper to see how it would work, of course. And I'm sure you're building it out right now. You're ironing out things, and I'm very excited with how it's going. Very, very excited.
In fact, the real challenge is to provide a good end user experience, because everybody comes from the Web 2 dopamine addiction, right? It's like, hit the keys. Like, what do you mean it doesn't move right now, right? So just one example.
And blockchains move slowly, so it doesn't. we got to work
blockchain
really hard on that.
moves slowly. Just one simple example on a test yesterday. It's like because the network was congested. The first transactions of 2 didn't go through for an hour and a half.
It had nothing to do with TreeTrunk or anything else. It just
nothing to do with TreeTrunk.
Had to do with the testnet being slow at that moment. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Testnet, RealNet, it's like once there are a lot of transactions coming in, right? I mean, Ethereum has at any given time probably 80 to 120,000 pending transactions. Wow. So if you get the shakes after 15 seconds, it's like you will have to pay a lot in order to jump the queue, and you need to be patient. So this is really also our biggest challenge. Is not a technical challenge. Our biggest challenge is an educational, human expectation setting challenge.
Yeah.
The tech you can build, right? It's like, it works.
I love it when blockchains new blockchains pop up and go, we're super fast. I'm like, well, that means you're super not popular or you're not a blockchain, one of the two, because blockchains don't scale the way a traditional system of record will. You can make them more scalable, but not linearly scalable.
But then, we're building this, and building things takes time, and making sure that the foundation is secure takes time. I mean, whatever you build on it is going to be dependent on how the foundation is being built, and you're doing this from scratch. There was never something like this before, and you're doing it, and that is really, I really appreciate it so much.
Well, that's why we're Ishita. That's when we did the testnet and we did the beta test. I know there was there was that moment where I made the call to not go to the mainnet right away. And I'm really glad that was the call we made, because, it turns out it's a lot of fun for people to play around with this stuff when they don't know, or because it's not, it's not on the, you're not playing with real money yet. So people got used to it. And then, what we're doing right now and until June is making sure that nobody loses any money. Requirement number 1, nobody loses their money. And 2, and this is what Andreas was saying, nobody worries that they lost their money or something because they don't know what happened with the UI. Like your money can be safe. I'm pretty confident of that one. We're doing a whole audit right now with a very expensive company that does audits like this. And, we're going to be confident of the smart contract. But if your UI glitches in the middle of it and you don't know what's going on and you just put a lot of money in, that's when you get a little nervous.
Things hit the fan then,
yeah.
So just to I think a good reference point is like the evolution of email, right? I started with email, again, Gen X. I started with email where I wrote the email in a text file.
Yeah.
And then I was on a line editor, was doing SMTP, blah, 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 blah. Right. And from that to Outlook, we're at the writing. Right. No, not even you got
no,
mail.
Before SendMail.
It was way before SendMail. It was we're at that stage where we're still writing basically our email in a text file, saving it, and then sending it via SMTP. We're working on we're working on wrapping ERC 721s and 1155s in 4910s, so you can port, you can actually have royalties with your ERC 721 that are actually on chain. We're going to build the very scalable but very secure layer 2 where you have fully private royalties. Right, so no one knows what you're actually doing, and you keep it all private. But that needs to be done at scale, at industrial scale, and doing zero knowledge proofs at industrial scale is hard.
Hey guys, I got to cut it off. I just realized we're over time,
I
got
to say, So real quick before everyone goes, Ishita, I think this is why, it's great to be one of the OG artists. Just a quick shout out to all the OG artists: Arabella Proffer, Brandon Bro, Carmilla Sumantri, Crypto Jeweler, Dilek Sezin, Ishita Banerjee, Latch, Logic, Pareen Haidari, Sam Madhu, and Vimal Chandran. Ishita, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Andreas Freund, thank you so much. And Will, we've missed you.
Our pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Get better, Will. All right.
Get
Cheers,
better soon,
guys.
Will.